Oh, TABERAREMASUKA. Fall in love with someone who's Japanese. Use Game of...
I love this song! What's up guys? I'm Yurina. Today I'm gonna react to this video. Let's go!
I think the best thing about learning Japanese, outside of everyday communication of course, is being able to appreciate the music. It's so cool to be able to listen to a song in Japanese and allow the lyrics to resonate with you on an emotional level. That in itself is as good a reason as any to learn the language. So when you switch on the TV to the music channel, you can not only enjoy them. I think the best thing about learning Japanese, outside of everyday communication of course, is being able to appreciate the music. It's so cool to be able to listen to a song in Japanese and allow the lyrics to resonate with you on an emotional level. That in itself is as good a reason as any to learn the language. So when you switch on the TV to the music channel, you can not only enjoy the music, but feel a real sense of achievement as well.
I love this song! Mama,
yeah, on second thoughts, don't bother.
It has no meaning. The lyric, it has no meaning.
Hello and welcome to Ask Abroad, the show in which I answer questions sent in by you, the viewer,
Let me check after
whilst
that.
propping up my table with cardboard due to uneven flooring. The topic of this video is learning Japanese. Most of the questions will be about Japanese, with a few random ones thrown in, including comment of the week and most annoying comment of the week. Learning Japanese has been a really big part of my life the past 3 years, and I hope in this video my many experiences and failures will help you on your journey to learning the language. So without further ado, let's dive in. What's the biggest problem with learning Japanese? Everything. But it's such a major undertaking that you need to become good in many different fields. My 3 biggest problems when I started learning were a lack of self-discipline and motivation, a horrific memory, working out where to begin. I more or less overcame the first one by reading some philosophy books, and every day when I walked to and from school I would listen to an audio tape on self-discipline. And I think over a period of weeks and months that had an effect. It was a bit weird. It felt like I was brainwashing myself. You will work hard. You will work really hard. As for my memory, I bought a few good books on memorization techniques, my favourite of which I put in the description box below. And thirdly, fortunately, I had lots of friends in Japan who were 1 step or 2 steps ahead of me, who gave me lots of invaluable advice, particularly my anonymous friend, Canadian guy. To summarise though, I find the most difficult aspects of learning Japanese are personality traits, your own personal flaws. You have to be very self-critical and work out where you're going wrong. But that's a really great skill to have. To quote my favourite Japanese English textbook, are you aware of your own defect? Ask yourself that very question. What were some of the words you found coming up in conversation most often in Japanese that you hadn't been taught?
I'm curious.
So here's 4 casual interjections or phrases that are very common in Japan. Particularly the first 3 you hear in nearly every other sentence, but I'd never been taught them in my textbooks. The first is majide, which literally translates as seriously.
We know majide already.
And it's used pretty much in the same way that we would use seriously to express surprise or amazement. The second is uso, or uso desho, literally translates as it's a lie, you're telling a lie. But it's used in the same way in English that we would say no way, again to express surprise or disbelief. The third one is yabai, which I struggle to translate, but it's usually to highlight something as being very good or very bad. And finally, the phrase shoganai, which means it can't be helped or there's nothing that can be done. You hear it a lot in Japan as people tend to have quite a fatalistic perspective. Because Japan's a collectivist society, it's a bit more difficult to feel empowered as an individual. And so people are more willing to give in to circumstance and accept things that are outside of their control. So you hear this expression, shogunai, quite often. Is Benedict Cumberbatch popular in Japan? Yeah, he is actually. I asked my friend Yuki the other day what he thinks about Benedict Cumberbatch, and here's what he had to say on the matter. Benedict Cumberbatch! What's the most common mistake you make while speaking and writing in Japanese? I don't know why that sinister voice was necessary, but the 2 things that ruin my day the most are, first off, particles like o, de, to, wa, ga, At first, when you're learning Japanese, they
難しいよね。
seem relatively simple as to what they are, but the more you progress through learning the language, the more complicated they become, and the more difficult it becomes to know which one to use. So I often get halfway through saying a sentence, then I don't know which particle it is, and then I get confused, the whole sentence is derailed, and I start to cry there and then. And the second thing is verb conjugations. So at the end of the verb in Japanese, it changes depending on the tense of the verb and whether it's causative or passive. So, for example, with the verb to eat, taberu, here's all the list of endings that you'd find with that verb. It can be difficult in conversation sometimes to quickly and fluently say those conjugations. For the more difficult ones, like saseru, to be made to do something. But still, when you're speaking, it can be difficult to get them out sometimes. I mean, look at taberareru. It took me like 2 years to be able to say that.
You can say 食べられる? It is difficult to pronounce for foreigners. I didn't know that. られる is difficult. 食べられる. 食べられる. So it is different sound from られる. 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 A bit of tongue twister. 早口言葉みたい。そう？ラリルレロ is different from L sound or R sound.
It took me like 2 years to be able to say that. When I was first doing it, it was like, oh, taberarubarubaru.
Taberarubarubaru. Taberarubarubaru.
I'm in trouble. I begin to like you. You're sarcastic. You've sat too close to my favourite YouTuber, Sharla in Japan. And your accent is not American, which I'm familiar with. Yet, strangely enough, I find myself liking you. Wow, what a wonderfully frank compliment. Thank you, Yoshi. I think that's the nicest comment I've had in 4 years of doing YouTube. And I'm glad that my proximity to Sharla, who's also in Japan, has not stood between us. After all, Sharla and I have been at least this close. Maybe that close, once or twice now. Fun fact about Sharla, of course, I'm actually ranked more than her on famousbirthdays.com. I think I'm around 1,318 and she's something like 4,000 and something ridiculous.
What is a famous birthdays? こんなのがあるの？何のために? For what?
I mean, you can hardly call that famous. Yes, she may have more subscribers on YouTube, but I think we know which statistic is more impressive. So yeah. But thanks again, Yoshi. I'm very grateful. What's the best way to learn for someone that does not live in Japan? All the learning resources and tools mentioned in this video can be downloaded, bought, or watched anywhere in the world.
A website for famous people or social media influencers. It shows their birthday and info. I didn't know that.
The only hurdle that remains is being able to speak and use the Japanese you're learning. One of the reasons I didn't really feel motivated to learn Japanese before I came to Japan is I knew I wouldn't be able to use the things I was learning there and then. It's not commonplace to find a Japanese native speaker walking down the streets of rural England. Fortunately, these days there's lots of services and things online that you can use to get around the problem. Last year in a video I mentioned a website called italki where you can find a tutor or
do you know this website?
Language partner to talk with. It's so convenient and good that I actually used it for a time while I was in Japan. For example, when I got here, I started going to a Japanese language class in the local community centre with various other learners of Japanese. And I had to sit there and wait for my turn as we went round in a circle listening to people say, "Oh, hajimemashite, watashi wa Ted desu, yoroshiku onegai shimasu." It wasn't fun, it wasn't good, and I didn't really learn or practice anything. And I don't think classroom environments are very good when it comes to learning a language. But fortunately, we live in a time where time and space no longer have to get in the way of learning a language. You can pick your tutor from a list, schedule a time to talk to them, and then have a Skype call wherever and whenever you want. And because no one has to spend their pocket money going to and from a community centre or a classroom, it's cheaper as well. So if you live outside Japan or even inside Japan and you want a tutor, I do recommend italki. Because I mentioned them in a video last year and lots of viewers liked the service and gave excellent feedback, italki have generously given vouchers to anyone watching this video. It's not often you get things for free on this channel except to laugh at my occasional misfortune. So if you do book a class with a tutor on italki at the link in the box below, you'll get your second class absolutely free. It is pretty good and worth checking out for anyone looking to practice with a native speaker of Japanese. So yeah, check it out. Why do you always wear black shirts? This isn't black, it's a kind of purple, isn't it? Still, you're right, I do wear black shirts like 90% of the time. And the reason is, it makes me look thinner, and I like to look thinner.
Black.
That said, I did buy a pink shirt recently, so don't worry, I'm moving up in the world. The game has changed. Is there any point in being able to handwrite kanji? First off, it's a lot easier to memorise 2,200 characters if you're able to write them, as well as read them. More importantly, if there's a word or character that you don't know or can't understand, you can just get out your dictionary and draw it in. But to be able to do that, more often than not, you need to know the stroke order and how to actually write it. So it is very important. What are the best ways of learning Japanese for free? Get a Japanese boyfriend. Or girlfriend. I've already covered this topic in detail in a past video. Be advised it is presented by a hot dog. But if you can get past the disgusting exterior, it is nonetheless an insightful hot dog. So check that out. But there are quite a few videos on learning Japanese on this channel. And I've put them all into a nice convenient playlist just for you. And you can find them at the link here. Actually, I can't be bothered to do that. A lot of people do that, don't they? Whoosh. And then the link comes up like there's some kind of magic wizard, but can't be bothered really. Just click on the card there. That'll save me like 10 minutes of putting that effect in. Do you think I can learn Japanese if I invest only 20 minutes a day? Definitely. 20 minutes a day for 300 years and you'll be a master of Japanese and quite possibly dead. It depends on what stage you're at of learning Japanese. To give you an idea of how much time I put in the first year, I think I put in about 2 or 3 hours every day. And after 3 years of learning the language now, if I were to set aside 20 minutes a day to learn the language, I would probably be able to learn 20 new words or 3 items of grammar, because I'm accustomed to the language and its pronunciation and its grammar structure already. The key thing is laying down those solid foundations, which would be difficult to do on just 20 minutes a day. Or think of it like a puzzle. When you start a puzzle, it's a fucking nightmare to know where to begin. But the more you progress, the quicker it becomes to put the pieces into place. Unfortunately, I lack a puzzle to help aid this visual metaphor, but I think you get the idea. When is the best time to start learning kanji in your opinion? Right at the start, as soon as you've learned hiragana and katakana. Start to learn how to draw out the characters and what they mean. Don't worry about pronunciation just yet though, as that takes quite a long time to learn. I think it's better to learn them separate, although there is some debate on this. I've already made a video on this and I still stand by the technique that I described in the video. But if you're struggling with kanji, check it out, and hopefully if you learn the method and do it, you'll find learning kanji as pleasant as I have over the last few years.
Go fuck yourself.
Hey Chris, Akinator was able to guess your channel. Wow, that's pretty cool. If you're not familiar with Akinator, it's one of those websites where it guesses who you're thinking about. I think it asks like 50 questions and it can guess who it is. It took a long time, but I guess the most helpful answer I gave was yes to, is your character chubby? Brilliant.
Go fuck yourself.
How did you learn Japanese after arriving there? I focused on lots of different Japanese every day, and because I'm a very visual person, I've drawn it out. For vocabulary and grammar, I used Genki 1 and Genki 2, the textbooks. They're really good, I recommend.
Genki is very popular.
And then for kanji, I used remembering the kanji. For memorization and reviewing, which is really important if you want to remember the things you've learned, I used Memrise and Anki. And for listening and speaking, I had various friends and colleagues to practice with, as well as the tutor to ask questions to. On top of that, I got hooked to a TV show called Kekkon Dekinai.
I love this drama. I love this drama. I love this actor of Hiroshi. Yeah, this is very interesting drama.
Toko, or The Guy Who Can't Get Married. It's a sitcom about a grumpy guy who lives alone, doesn't want to get married, doesn't really like people, and it's really, really hilarious, particularly as I can relate to the character. So yeah, highly recommend it. After studying Japanese for about 4 to 5 months, I'm starting to slack off in my studying. How can I be more motivated? Make some Japanese friends. Get hooked to a Japanese anime or TV show. Fall in love with someone who's Japanese. Use gamification and try to set targets you have to hit every day, like learning 100 words. Focus on why you really need...
He deleted this 0.
Japanese. Is it to start a business? Is it to move to Japan? But get a big A3 sheet of paper, write out your vision or dream on that, and stick it above your desk and focus on it every day, as I tend to do. And you'll find your life tends to gravitate towards that aim as time goes by. But do all those things and you'll prevail. Good luck. I feel like when I'm conversing in Japanese, I seem like quite a boring person. Yeah, I had that. I do find it difficult to be myself when speaking Japanese. It's like my personality has to shift gears. First off, that's because I lack so much Japanese still. Lots of idioms and colloquial expressions that I still don't know hold me back from expressing myself fully in Japanese. The second reason is Japanese has lots of fixed expressions though. The whole language seems to revolve around showing appreciation towards things. So when people have their first sip of beer, they'll say, "Oh, oishii," or "umai." And, when there's something beautiful or pretty before someone, they'll say, "Oh, sugoi, subarashi." It's incredible, it's amazing. This is not an understatement. You'll hear this quite a lot, and anyone that's lived in Japan will know I'm not exaggerating. But I'd like to point out I'm not against it. I like the way Japanese people show appreciation towards everyday situations and objects and things. But to me, I struggle to do it because it seems quite superficial. I find it difficult to point at things and go, "Oh, it's brilliant. Oh, it's amazing. Oh, it's delicious." I can't do it. It's especially difficult if you're a grumpy, sarcastic British person who spends most of their time whinging about the weather. But I have found as time has gone by that this problem has become less of an issue, and hopefully you'll find the same the more you study. And that brings us to the end of the video. I hope you've found something of use in the last few minutes. There's been enough tools and resources in this video to sink a small yacht. I'm off now to make a video about the new apartment, a sort of tour guide video, as that's what all vloggers in Japan do. It's what we do, we make videos about apartments. But thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you next time. Take care.
Yay! Nice, nice. It's very helpful. すごい勉強になったね。これは。良い。Good video. Sub, follow, and show support. Thank you. I love you guys. See you next